Brent Gordon from Shirley Road Chiropractic. Let's talk about posture. And specifically, let's talk about neck posture, the deep neck flexors, and how to help relieve neck pain. So here we have a spine, and from the side, when we view the spine, we've got these lovely curves. We've got our cervical lordosis, our thoracic kyphosis, and our lumbar lordosis. And this set of curves help our spine act as a big shock-absorbing spring. Okay? So when we have our heavy head, which sits on top of our spine, it includes a brain, and that brain weighs about 1.5 kilograms. If we put that brain inside the skull, we now bring our total weight up to about 5 kilograms. And now this is going to sit on top of our spine with these nice curves, and theoretically our spine can hold that brain and skull of 5 kilos on top of that without actually causing too much pressure or stress on extra muscles and ligaments. If, however, this head position is not in the right place, as we see often with forward head posture positions, what will happen is that if we imagine the base of the skull, the spinal cord comes out from the base of the skull, and my fist, if that actually is the vertebral canal, that sits on top of that. Now again, you've just got the head that sits on top of that, and it should balance quite well. And it's 5 kilos. So if we now move that head forward just a little bit, okay, up to about, say, 2.5 centimetres, so an inch forward, we now effectively double the weight on top of our neck that is sitting because of the increased forward position. If we bring it forward 5 centimetres, which is 2 inches, say, it now actually triples the weight. So this is equivalent to 15 kilograms on top of our neck that sits there. So ideally it's meant to be sitting here with not much balance and support necessary from other muscles. As soon as it goes forward, it's always going to fall forward. So if it's falling forward, we now need forces from behind, and they're going to act on a short lever. And so you require a lot of force that's pulling from the back of the skull down into the neck, the muscles in through there, and also the muscles of the neck that join down onto the shoulder blade. They're all going to be working extra hard. Now it's these muscles that work extra hard that become fatigued, and that's when people say you might be carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, or don't be such a pain in the neck. So you're not the first person to experience it, and a lot of it just comes down to fatigue because of that poor positioning. So some people are well aware of the fact that they've actually got poor posture, while others aren't. So we'll sometimes take a photo of people from the side, and they don't even realise that they're actually chins protruding quite far forward, and they've got internally rotated shoulders. So they're developing tightness of their pectoral muscles, weakness of their deep neck flexors. There's often weakness of their rhomboid muscles and also lower trapezius muscles in through there as well. So in some cases as well, people will be quite concerned that they've actually developed what's known as a dowager's hump. Effectively what's happening is that there's an imbalance in muscular control, and that imbalance is the difference between the flexor strength of the upper limb, okay, so the flexors of the pectoral muscles and the bicep muscles, and then a relative weakness of their muscles in behind their shoulder blades and their extensor muscles, including their tricep muscle groups. So how are we going to go ahead and improve this for people and help maybe reduce their neck pain? So we mentioned the deep neck flexors. The deep neck flexors are the muscles that are in front of the spine. So here we have the ribs of the top 2 ribs. This is the neck itself, the base of the skull, and the cerebellum or bottom part of the brain sitting in through there. And so we're looking at the front of the neck in through here. The deep neck flexors are the muscles that connect the front of the skull and the neck further down into the lower spine, and they're actually going to control this distance between your chin and the top of your breastbone, top of the sternum. So this actually brings that into that nice position through there. So we're going to do some things to actually activate those deep neck flexors. So if we've reduced that distance, so what you'll find is that some people have got this going on internally rotated. So we want to get people to basically stand lifting up and raising through their chest. If people just go about actually, from this posture, pulling the shoulders back and pulling their head back, it doesn't seem to sort of cut the mustard, and people will realise that they actually get even more sore and fatigued. So what we're now going to do is just get people to raise their chest up, lift up through the chest, and that tends to bring the chin into a nice position. You can imagine a string that pulls you up from the top as well, but just putting the chest forward as if you've got a high beam headlight pointing straight ahead, that actually has a big difference in posture and positioning. So if you can practice that and keep that chin in that nice position through there, that will really help. But what we're now going to use is we're going to use the wall. We're going to use the wall as our little guide, because people think they're often standing quite well, but what they find is that they've actually still got a forward head posture, position, and internally rotated shoulders. So let's look at the wall. The first exercise we'll do are called wall extensions. So wall extensions require you to stand up against the wall, place your heels against the wall, bottom against the wall. Again, in this posture and position, people will often find that they're still head quite far away from the wall, so you can measure this distance, and you can also see that the shoulders might be quite far away from the wall. So what we're now going to do is put ourselves into Leonardo da Vinci's Peruvian man position, which is the anatomical position. So we now turn our hands into our shoulders into external rotation, place the back of your hands against the wall, and try and get the shoulders against the wall. And the back of your head, there's a little bump on the back of your head, which is actually getting bigger in the human population because of all the extra muscles pulling. So we're sort of evolving further and actually having a bigger bump there because of all the muscular tension. That was a study that just came out in the last year or two. But if we place that bump as high as you can on the wall to reduce that distance between your chin and the top of the breastbone, and now you're going to put the hands against the wall, then what you'll often find people will do is there's a big gap now that's developing through here. So we want to actually tilt the pelvis forward and try and reduce that position against gap against the wall. Hands externally rotated, arms externally rotated, and then you're going to now, in this position, push backwards as if you're pushing yourself away from the wall, but you're going to hold the position. So as you do this, whole spine against the wall, pushing backwards, and you hold that, keep pressing there. It's called an isometric contraction. And you'll feel your tricep muscles activate. We don't want you to lift your shoulders up, just pushing straight backwards into the wall. And you push and hold, and you're going to hold that for 45 seconds to a minute. Keep pressing, and then coming off and relax, okay? Give it a bit of a shake. If you want to now, you can just do that a couple of times with the rest in between. If you really want to step it up and really improve the posture and position, grab a couple of heavy weights. So in this case, I'll use some kettlebells, but you can just as well use a couple of buckets of water or buckets with some bricks in them. And now you're going to just hold those kettlebells or weights in this position. And what will happen, as you hold them with your hands, shoulders externally rotated, we typically go into a nice posture and position anyway. Our chin tucks in, we've got our activated deep neck flexors, we've got our arms just pulling down to the side. Try not to raise your shoulders at all while you're doing this. And just hold that, and you hold that for a minute. It should feel quite comfortable, okay? You do that for a minute, and then you're gonna come back against the wall again, do the wall again for a moment, for a minute, and then do that, pushing, and then do the farmer's hold again. So maybe a total of 4 minutes, and you'll walk away from the wall feeling quite tall and also like you've got your shoulders in a much better position. If you want to do one extra little thing while you're there, as you're up against the wall, we can do this in this position here. We can also now, instead of doing it with your arms straight down by your side, you can do it in the T position, pushing out straight that way, or you can do it in the Y position and pushing backwards, trying to keep your spine up against the wall, or back into that original position, which is the L. And one other little thing is while you're in this position, I'll often do this one in the car, is that you can do isometrics of your deep neck flexors by just gently pushing your head forward into your hand, pushing to the side, and then to the other side. So they're going to look like this. You can push your head forward into your own hand, keeping your head nice and still. You can feel on each side of your neck, and you'll feel those deep muscles activate, and then relax, push into the side, and push into the side. Just be careful not to sort of do it like this and like this. It's perfectly neutral. Forward, push to the side, and pushing backwards. This is a nice one against the headrest at a red traffic light. So doing those, and you might do a few rounds of those for a few seconds for each contraction, and you will feel that you've actually activated and worked those deep muscles much better.